If you're considering a destination wedding in Costa Mujeres or Playa Mujeres and you want something that kind of feels elevated, modern, and intentional, but not ultra luxury and not Cancun party chaos, then this video is for you. Today, I'm walking you through 5 resorts I personally have been to and I completely recommend in this area. We're going to talk about how they differ from each other, what kind of wedding couple each one fits best, and just as importantly, what your guests will actually experience when they land. Because this area is not one size fits all, and choosing the wrong resort could change the tone of your wedding weekend. So let's start with the area itself. Costa Mujeres and Playa Mujeres are about 40 to 45 minutes north of Cancun Airport. And that 40-minute drive kind of matters. You leave behind the hotel zone, the busy crowds, the bar crawl energy, and you enter a gated master planned community. The resorts themselves are within a gated area. The beaches are wide and swimmable. There are no vendors walking up to you trying to sell souvenirs. It feels very contained. It also feels very intentional, and it definitely gives a sense of security. And for guests, especially what I've noticed, parents or older family members, that sense of security and ease goes a very long way. This is not Jungle Tulum, and this is not Cancun nightlife. This is not downtown exploration. This is a very modern, beach-forward, spacious resort energy. And I want to talk about the beach because this is truly one of the best in the greater Cancun region. It's wide, bright, consistently beautiful, and that alone elevates the entire guest experience. But now let's get into the resorts. I'm starting with Secrets Playa Blanca, which is a newer adults only, and it feels more secluded overall. It leans romantic, lush landscaping, intimate spaces, and a design style that feels very warm and intentional rather than grand and architectural, if that makes sense. This is a strong choice for the couple who wants privacy over scale. So if you're envisioning a smaller guest count, a reception that feels tucked away rather than exposed, and a wedding weekend that feels intimate rather than bustling, this resort delivers that atmosphere perfectly, in my opinion. The food here is very solid. I would place it comfortably above Majestic and slightly below Atelier, which we'll talk about in a bit. For guests, this resort feels very romantic and relaxed. It doesn't feel overwhelming. It doesn't feel massive. And guests who attend weddings here tend to say it feels very curated, like the couple selected something thoughtful rather than flash. Unfortunately, room rates here are typically on the higher side compared to Majestic, and they're often comparable to Atelier, depending on the season. So you do want to consider your guest demographic carefully. This resort is definitely for the intimate romantic bride. Secrets Playa Blanca is for the couple who wants their wedding to feel private, romantic, thoughtfully curated rather than large and high energy. But they could still do that. This is typically a 40 to 70 guest wedding where the focus is connection, ambiance, and atmosphere. They love the idea of an adults only resort because it keeps the tone cohesive, and they're really drawn to lush landscaping, warm, modern finishes, and venues that feel tucked away instead of exposed. This couple isn't trying to impress with size, they're trying to create a feeling, and their guests will describe this weekend as very peaceful, elevated, and beautifully intentional. Like they stepped into a romantic retreat rather than a bustling resort wedding. Okay, I have to be honest with you. Atelier is my absolute favorite resort in this area. Like my favorite. I love it here so much. I love bringing, my girlfriends here, my husband, and I genuinely get excited every single time I talk about it. So let me tell you why. Because when you walk into Atelier, there's a smell. I know it sounds like a weird thing to lead with, but it's true. The resort has a signature scent that is just clean and warm and elevated, and immediately signals that every single detail here was considered. I cannot describe it perfectly, but I promise you, you will know exactly what I mean the second you walk in. It is adults only, architecturally striking, and unapologetically calm. This is not a party resort. This is not a foam cannon resort. This is not the place where your friends are doing body shots at 3 p.m. This is for the couple who values food, design, and guest experience at a very high level. I personally believe that architecture does a lot of the heavy lifting here. You have clean lines, neutral tones, dramatic yet minimalist spaces. You don't need to overdecorate because the environment already feels elevated, and you see that in the photography. Weddings here typically begin around the 30K range, depending on guest count and enhancements. It has crept upwards in price recently, especially with 2027 weddings, but the guest experience is still extremely strong. So what makes it unique? The consistency. The food quality is genuinely impressive, especially for an all-inclusive resort. Service feels polished and attentive without being intrusive. The adults-only atmosphere keeps the tone very, very refined. Now, guests attending weddings at Atelier often describe it as the nicest wedding I've ever been to. And they truly feel taken care of, and they feel like they are at a sophisticated vacation and not a loud resort wedding. The Sky Terrace is stunning, but it is a significant upgrade. It's perfect for couples prioritizing that aesthetic impact, but there are lots of different venues, including the garden. Now, this is for the foodie, minimalist couple with high standards. Atelier is for the couple who cares deeply about quality, food quality, service quality, design quality, and is willing to invest accordingly. This is typically your $30,000 to $40,000 wedding range. Adults only with a guest list appreciates a more refined environment. They are drawn to architecture, clean lines, and an aesthetic that feels modern, maybe even European rather than tropical and busy. They don't need loud decor because the resort itself carries that visual impact. This couple also wants their guests to feel impressed without feeling overwhelmed. Guests leave saying the service was impeccable, the food was memorable, and the entire weekend kind of felt very sophisticated and seamless. It's calm, confident, and not chaotic. Now let's talk about value without sacrificing beauty. Majestic Elegance Costa Mujeres is technically family friendly, but it skews adult heavy. I would say it's like roughly 70% adults only rooms versus 30% family friendly rooms. This makes it very ideal for couples who want a larger guest count, a slightly more energetic atmosphere, and still space for the flower girls and ring bearers, and their nieces and nephews, and guests who may have tighter budgets as well. The venue here surprises people. The Sky Terrace is beautiful and more cost effective than other resorts. The beach is wide and consistently impressive. Food is solid and dependable. I would not say it's culinary driven like Atelier, but it's absolutely satisfying. What makes Majestic unique is the balance of energy and accessibility. Guests here tend to describe the weekend as fun. They're at the swim up bar, they're social, they're excited. It feels like a celebratory vacation, but it doesn't feel like wild or out of control. If you want a full dance floor and a big welcome party, this resort definitely supports that energy well. Majestic Elegance is perfect for the social hosts with a big guest list and a realistic budget. Majestic is ideal for the couple who wants energy, celebration, like I said, a strong dance floor, but still wants a beautiful backdrop. This is often like your 80 to 120 guest wedding where accessibility matters because not every guest can stretch to higher room rates. And the couple might also have like flower girls, nieces and nephews, ring bearers, or extended family attending, so they need flexibility without sacrificing the atmosphere. I think Majestic delivers that tone. They also deliver a more livelier tone while still feeling elevated compared to the like Cancun hotel zone. Guests experience it as fun, vibrant, and social. The beach, consistently impressive. The venues exceed expectations, especially the Sky Terrace. And the overall weekend feels like a true vacation celebration rather than just like a formal event. Now let's talk about the renovated Secrets Playa Mujeres. Secrets Playa Mujeres is for the polished, relaxed, luxury couple who wants a classic adults-only resort experience, but with a fresh, modernized aesthetic that feels intentional rather than dated. So after the renovations, the property feels softer, lighter, and definitely more cohesive in my opinion. The color palette is very calm, the finishes are clean, and the overall design now holds its own against newer builds without trying too hard. Like, this is for the couple who wants elegance without it being sterile. Something beautiful but still warm and welcoming. I think the resort itself has a very balanced energy. It's not ultra quiet, but it's also not high volume or chaotic. There's enough activity to make it feel a little lively. You have music by the pool, people socializing at the swim up bar, but it never tips into like the party zone territory. The pools are expansive, the beach is, like I said, consistently strong, and the property layout feels spacious without being overwhelming. I think the venues here are especially appealing for couples who love ocean views but don't necessarily want their ceremony directly in the sand. I can't stand the sand, so this is kind of very good for me. Several spaces use elevation and backdrops strategically, giving you that sweeping water view without battling the wind or even like that uneven footing. It photographs beautifully without feeling forced. Guests at Secrets Playa Mujeres tend to describe the experience as relaxed and polished. The rooms feel comfortable and thoughtfully updated. The food is solid and dependable across multiple restaurants. And I think the overall tone of the weekend feels really cohesive. It's the kind of place where guests settle in quickly and feel like they're truly on vacation, not navigating a maze of noises or excess. I think Secrets Playa Mujeres is definitely for the couple who wants adults only, updated, ocean forward elegance with enough energy to feel celebratory, but not so much that it overs the wedding itself. Now, next door, Dreams Playa Mujeres is for the couple who wants their wedding weekend to feel expansive, energetic, and visually memorable, but again, still grounded in a well-designed, elevated setting. This is not a boutique feeling resort, and that's intentional. It's larger, it has movement, it offers range. I think it makes it incredibly effective for couples hosting diverse guest lists. Aesthetically, Dreams feels brighter. The design leads airy and contemporary with open spaces, grand staircases, dramatic ceremony venues. Especially, I personally love the overwater glass structures that creates a true like wow moment. Those clear platforms like over water are particularly powerful for photography and for couples who want something that feels distinct from the typical like beachfront ceremony. I've seen this resort all over Instagram and TikTok for the past 5 years easily. The scale of the property allows guests to experience the resort in different ways. There are quieter pool areas and then there are livelier ones. There's a lazy river that guests genuinely enjoy. There are water slides and a splash pad that makes it ideal for families flying in with children. And at the same time, the resort maintains like a level of polish that keeps it from feeling like chaotic or spring break oriented. I think the food here is consistent and approachable. I would not position this as a culinary showcase like Atelier, but it's dependable across multiple restaurant options. And because it shares proximity with Secrets Playa Mujeres, there's an added layer of flexibility for couples who want to strategically place like adults only guests next door while keeping family members close. Guests at Dreams often describe the weekend as full and engaging. There's always something happening. It feels like a true vacation layered around a wedding, not just a ceremony tucked inside a resort. I would say this is the couple who wants impact. They want photos that make people go like, oh. They want energy on the dance floor. They want flexibility for kids without sacrificing aesthetics. They want their guests to feel like they got a full resort experience and not just like they're there for a wedding. If you're looking for something intimate, romantic, and adults only with a more secluded retreat-like atmosphere, I think Secrets Playa Blanca is likely going to feel like the right fit. It's for couples who care about ambiance and privacy and want the weekend to feel intentionally curated rather than large and high energy. If your priority is food, architecture, service, and an elevated guest experience that feels quietly sophisticated, Atelier Playa Mujeres is still my gold standard. It's for the couple who wants refinement over chaos and is comfortable investing a bit more to deliver that level of quality to their guests. Now, if you're hosting a larger guest list and want something vibrant, social, and more budget conscious without sacrificing beauty, Majestic Elegance makes a lot of sense. It's lively, but still polished, and it handles scale extremely well. If you want adults only elegance with a refreshed modern aesthetic and a balanced resort energy, something polished but not ultra quiet, I think Secrets Playa Mujeres sits comfortably in that middle tier. It feels cohesive, ocean forward, and easy for guests to settle into. And if you're envisioning dramatic ceremony venues, flexibility for families, and a wedding weekend that feels dynamic and expansive, Dreams Playa Mujeres delivers range. It's impactful, versatile, and incredibly effective for diverse guest lists. Now, they all sit in the same geographic pocket. They all share that beautiful Playa Mujeres beach, but the energy and the guest experience is very different at each one. And I think that difference is what ultimately shapes your wedding weekend. If you are still in the early stages and trying to decide whether a destination wedding is even right for you, I want you to download my Destination Wedding Workbook. It walks you through the foundational questions before you ever sign a contract. And if you already have a guest count and a budget in mind and want help narrowing this down strategically, I highly recommend book a planning session with me. That way we can go deeper into logistics, room blocks, and guest psychology. Next week, I'm breaking down what is actually included in an all-inclusive wedding package and what couples are shocked to find out what is not included, because that's where the real budget surprises happen. I'll see you there. Cheers.